So now let's get into how to build your physique for symmetry, right? So I want to say this, and I've been noticing the difference between me and a couple other fitness influencers and the way I run my channel, right? Or the way I run my content, rather, the way I, my stuff that I talk about. I can tell now that I'm more of a philosopher, right? I'm not a, hey, do this, A, B, C, D, and this is gonna work for you. Because realistically, there's so many different ways to skin a cat. And you can't really just think that there's a one size fits all to anybody's situation. The first thing is you have to understand that, different things work for different people. And so if different things work for different people, you have to figure out what works best for you. And that's why I always say, figure out what gets you sore. That way you have a baseline. And in order to figure out what gets you sore, pick, generic exercises, or just pick one exercise for a body part. If you want to do your incline chest, your upper chest, and you want to figure out how can I get my upper chest sore, go in there, just pick one exercise for your upper chest and just beat it down. Do a whole bunch of reps, a lot of volume, to see where your body ranges and where, and wait till the next day to figure out, okay, am I sore from what I just did? And try to do a lot of reps, try to do a lot of sets, just see what happens and see what it actually takes to get you to that point. And if it doesn't take you much, okay, fine, document that, and next time you go in the gym, do that same thing. But if it does take a lot, okay, well, cool, now we got to analyze it. Was it the exercise that didn't get me sore? Like, I did my hamstrings on Monday and I did stiff leg deadlifts, but I used 25-pound dumbbells, right? Because the first time 25-pound dumbbells got me sore. Second time they didn't get me sore. So what I had to realize was, okay, now let's do the same exercise, but let's add more weight. And when I did my legs again, or when I did my hamstrings again, they got sore the second time. So that let me know right there, okay, well, it's not the exercise, it's the amount of volume and weight. So that's the thing that needs to change. But if you know that you found the exercise that can get you sore, you just got to continue to find out how to continue to use that same exercise to keep on getting you sore. And that's the goal, right? So here's the other thing. As an example, I'm not sure if you guys have ever read, the Bible or biblical scriptures and stuff, but the history of the Bible is, it was written by, different men inspired by God. And what ended up happening is, after a while, back when they wrote the Bible kind of just went dormant. Nobody had access to it, nobody was using it, and the world was just running on its own without the Bible, right? So then later on comes along, King James or something like that, and he starts going around and telling his servants to go collect all the scriptures from all parts of the world, and we're going to form a Bible, right? We're going to put it back together from all the ancient documents. So they do that. King James has the King James Version. And the King James Version, of course, is going to get remixed and documented and changed around and stuff like that, because he's going to put his own spin on stuff, just like he put his name in there. You know what I mean? Like, if it says the King James Version, that means somebody gave it a version. So this is the Kelly Brown version of what I'm giving you guys for my scriptures. But the thing is, though, is that at the root of it all, the information was accurate, right? So instead of you guys just, listening to me, you have to understand that I get my information off of the root, not off of different guys who I found online who had a chance to remix stuff or who had a chance to put their own spin on it and stuff like that. I go back to the basics. My goal for my body has always been to build a 70s era physique. That's what I want. I want to look like those old dudes. Like, I don't really care to look like, a monster now, or one of the guys now who's very vascular, or to go into GNC and when a dude says, oh, this is what works, and you need to try this, you need to try this. That's not really my style. I don't want huge legs. I don't want huge shoulders. I want to be symmetrical, right? Because I really appreciated the 70s era's symmetry in their physiques. And so what I like to do is track all my information and research those guys first. So when I'm getting my information, I'm getting it from them. I'm getting it from Frank Zane's and Larry Scott's, and I'm reading books from people who've been around since the 70s, 80s, 90s, not 80s, 90s, but older guys in the generation before us, who's before us, pretty much, so you get the drift. So what I've learned from them is they had a specific way of trying to build symmetry. Bodybuilding back then was about symmetry and being symmetrical and having the perfect physique. If you ever watch like Pump and Iron, Arnold Schwarzenegger says, if I grow one muscle, I gotta grow all my muscles. So if I put an inch on, my bicep, now I gotta put an inch on my shoulders, I gotta put an inch on my triceps, I gotta put an inch on my lats, I gotta put it, because everything has to grow at once, right? So if you get the drift, you get the drift. So I happened to be listening to I think it was Frank Zane a while ago, and I remember him saying something about, if you want to build symmetry, you have to work the peripheral muscles, which is the outline, which is the silhouette of the frame of your body. And so the key things that you need to take focus on are the things that we normally, as people who work out in the gym, tend to skip over, which is calves, forearms, in my opinion, the quad sweep. Not necessarily just having big, massive quads, but to have those quads to kind of curve a little bit and come back into your waist to kind of give you that X frame, right? We forget to work our, forearms, we forget to work our traps, our delts, we work our shoulders, but you have to work your shoulders for the shape. So in order to really know what you look like, aside from taking pictures or somebody telling you, yeah, you look good, I challenge you, this afternoon or tonight, whenever you get a chance to watch, whenever you get a chance to be done with the video, wait until about nighttime and try to find a reflection somewhere in the house, right? Try and go look in, not necessarily a mirror, but maybe look inside of like a window and just stand back and, squint your eyes a little bit and just kind of see how your outline is. And from your outline, when you stand still, the peripheral muscle, like the lats, you have to work your lats as well so that you have that wide frame with that narrow waist. Do you have that symmetry? And if not, then you already should know, okay, I don't have that symmetry. I need to start chasing certain exercises. Let me start doing my abs more. Let me start doing my obliques more. Let me start doing more of my lat spread to get that wide. Let me keep my waist narrow. Let me get my shoulders wider and build that cap on my shoulders. Let me start building that tricep back here so that when I stand in front, you can see the arm poking out from the side and you see the bicep hanging in a little bit, and then you see the forearm poking out more, and leading into the wrist, versus having a whole bunch of parts that are just incomplete. You know what I mean? Like you just look unfinished. It's like, okay, you got a good shape, but there's a bunch of key parts missing. And that's how I've always felt about myself. I think that through the version of building myself, I had to put some stuff on hold. Like I never worked my biceps. I never really worked my triceps that much. I was doing all the wrong things for my legs. My abs, I did work my abs and I did work my obliques, which is probably what made me stand out from the rest, because I realized that, okay, if I want to win the show, I'm gonna have to do what these guys aren't doing, which is obliques. And I used to notice that a lot of men's physique guys and a lot of classic physique guys, they didn't do obliques. So I just started doing obliques. And when I got up there, my obliques would stand out amongst theirs. And it's not because, they were better than me or I was better than them. It's just because I did a body part that they weren't doing. But then there was some things where I didn't have legs, I didn't have calves, and you could clearly see somebody's been working their calves. And so now I just have to keep up with doing all the right things. And so if you want to get in shape, you got to do all the right things. Now, always keep this in mind as well. If you want to build mass, yes, you do have to lift heavy weights, or you can kind of, you can finesse it as well, and you can do certain things like come down slow on the negatives. Like for myself, I don't have that much weights here, so I'm gonna have to be very conscious of my negatives and coming back down in the eccentric motion very slowly to challenge my muscle receptors to think that, okay, he's got some heavy weight. Really, I don't have heavy weight. I'm just coming down real slow. It helps you either way, because I think it really helps with detail. And I try to still do volume and heavy weight if I can. I try to combine the two. I'd rather, just do the heaviest weight I can for the highest amount of reps I can and run sets of that. And that's just the way I've always worked out, which is, probably why I haven't fallen off that bad, because I built such a deep foundation with my muscles. But remember that if you just only lift heavy and you don't work out for symmetry and detail, you'll end up building a blocky physique. So you ever see guys who just squat all the time? You always squatting heavy, heavy weights, that makes your legs grow, that makes your waist grow, it makes you, doing other heavy exercises, it makes your chest and your pecs grow. And it doesn't necessarily do the things for your arms, but it makes the inner muscles, the central muscles, your traps, your back, your waist, your lats, your hips and thighs and your butt. You ever notice that if you squat a certain amount of times, like it seems like your butt is getting bigger but your legs aren't getting bigger? Sometimes you don't necessarily need all that. So, slow off on the heavy weights all the time and just start trying to focus on how can I build the best symmetry. Go look at yourself, in a reflection, see how your outline looks and say, okay, ding, these are some of the key body parts I need to start focusing on. And once you do that, then you'll start building your own workout routine and seeing what works best for your body.